All right, so we're
Hi.
live. Hello, welcome.
Hello.
Jane.
Hi, thank you for having me. This is so exciting.
Yes, I am so excited. And this is so cool because obviously we're friends and co-founders and like we know each other now, but honestly not like that long in the grand
Yeah.
scheme of things. But we're gonna kind of go into all of this, but we've had like such a cool start and like just spark to everything. And so what I want everybody here to today to know is that this is Sonia, my co-founder for the Chattalatin
Yay.
Dance Society, and she is an incredible dancer and she has her own kind of story about dance and movement. And so this is the movement mantra Mastermind. And what I really want to curate here is the fact that movement looks different for every person, and it's so individual to each person. And so there may be basics that we need to know about how to make sure we're supporting our body, but really also moving in a way that gives us a lot of joy and fulfillment in that. So I want you, Sonia, to give us a little bit of a background on your story with dance and kind of how you landed where you are.
Okay, well, thank you. I just want to say really quickly, thank you for having me and all the work that you do because everyone that follows you knows that you work so hard. So thank you again for just all the work that you do. And my story, it's interesting on how I come to dance because I didn't grow up dancing at all. I actually grew up doing martial arts, which is another type of movement, as you say, right? And I learned to dance about 5 years ago when I moved to Spain. And the only reason why I wanted to learn to dance was only because I wanted to learn the language. And I'm
Mm,
like, how do I learn the language the best? How do I build a community? Well, do something that everybody else does it all the time, you know? And
right.
so dancing in Spain, it's like really huge, especially like in the city that I was in. I lived about 30 minutes out of Madrid, which is a little city called Alcalá de Henares, and they have a lot of dance schools. Just
Mhm.
about 5 days a week at least there's some kind of social dance going on. And for those of you that don't know what social dance is, it's a place basically like a club but not really at all. And you go there, they'll have a class in the beginning, a little dance class, and then afterwards they'll have a social dance where you are constantly after each song switching to a different partner and dancing to a new person. And that was the easiest way to meet friends, talk to people, because most people are shy. Come to
Yeah.
a new country, right? Like,
Mhm.
it's not even just like, oh, I'm going to a new city. No, I'm going to a whole new country, a whole new language that I'm learning.
Mhm.
And I felt that dancing with some people, like, it just took away that shyness, like, oh, the awkward question, like, oh, what's your name? What do you do for a living? No, you dance with for somebody, and if a conversation strikes, it strikes. And it's great. And that's how
Yeah.
I met most of my friends are all dancers, and not even just professional dancers. They just dance as a hobby, and we all do that. So that's what I wasn't a professional back there then, and not only when I moved here to Chattanooga, that's when I started doing somewhat professionally.
Yeah, so you just moved back really like your year anniversary just came by,
Yes.
right? So it was about a year ago
A
that
year ago in 5 days, no one is counting. I only
no, not you at
remember
all.
this. I only remember this because it was 1 week before my birthday,
Mm.
and my birthday is this Friday, so it's I was like, oh yeah, it's this many days.
Yeah.
So
So
yeah.
when you came back to Chattanooga though, so we met in March, but
Hmm.
when you came back to Chattanooga after having lived in Spain for it was 5 years, correct?
Yes,
Yeah.
yes.
So you were there for 5 years. You built this amazing community. You learned to dance. You had all of these amazing experiences. And then you come back to Chattanooga, which, you grew up here a good amount of your life before, but
Hmm.
kind of what was your mindset when you were coming back to Chattanooga after having lived in Spain for that many years?
I think everything that you stand for, everything that you preach, that's my thought was behind I need to build my community back again.
Hmm.
I really had to. Like my first thing was like I need to get out there
Yeah.
because again, moving to a new city, obviously for me was not a new city, but I had lost touch with a lot of people, because
Mhm.
being 5 years gone, it's not easy sometimes. I
Yeah.
still have obviously my core friends, but there's so many more people to meet, just like you, one of them, right? I'd always like listen to a lot of podcasts, and it's they say like, you have not met all the people in your life that are gonna love you. You
Mm.
haven't, and it's true because look at you, me and you, like we're really close friends now, and we're building things together, you know.
Yes.
And just basically by one conversation, we met in another city, you know, and we're like, yeah,
Yeah.
let's hang out. And you know, sometimes it stays, you know, many people meet and they're like, yeah, let's hang out, and maybe it never happens, you know.
Mhm.
But we made it happen.
Yeah, this is a kind of a funny. So for people who don't know Sonia and I's kind of backstory and the backstory of Chattalatin, so I am really relatively a new dancer, and I started learning kind of last summer a little bit here and there, going to some socials. I only had really one friend that I knew that was helping teach me, though. So my gift to myself this year in 2025 was to take lessons and learn to dance, because it's something that I really have always wanted to do. And so I started taking lessons in January, and I was all in.
Yeah, you were.
Yeah. So hardcore, I was like, okay, I'm going to go to this festival in Atlanta, which people who don't know what a dance festival is, or a dance congress, it's like 4 days of like workshops during the day, taking lots of like dance classes throughout the day. And then there's a shows in the evening usually. And then the whole night, well, really the whole morning, because it starts at like 12 o'clock at night and then goes to like 7 in the morning, is just social dancing, where you're dancing with all of these different people, meeting all of these different people. And I had seen Sonia before, like in Chattanooga a little bit, but we never really had spoken. um,
Mm-hmm.
and so I was like, oh, I recognized her. We kind of started chatting, and we're like, oh man, like, yeah, we need more places for dance in Chattanooga,
Yeah.
like this is so fun. And we got each other's WhatsApp or whatever, and phone number, and came back, and I'm pretty sure it was literally the following Monday that you came and sat on my couch.
I sure did. I
Yeah.
sure did. I was like, hey, what are you doing? When can you hang out? And she's like, well, anytime. I'm like, what about tomorrow?
Yeah. Exactly. So we started talking even more about all of it. And, this is, I think, originally when we started Chattalatin, we kind of thought, oh, maybe we'll just organize people to go to Atlanta or go to Knoxville or Nashville or dance in these other places that already had socials. But then we sat down with our other co-founder, Carolina, at Odd Story. And, we're like, why don't we just start our own? Like, I don't know who said it first. Maybe it was you, honestly,
Yeah.
I think. And
It doesn't matter as
it
long as we
doesn't
did it.
matter, but we were like, yeah, that sounds good. We should do that.
Yeah.
And then it started, and it's been amazing since then. Our first social in April, and like our second highest attendance this past month was
Yeah.
amazing. So
Yes. Yes. It was really good, you know. And it's like what you say, like movement, it's you have an idea, right? But then you can stay in the idea part. You might not ever take that action movement.
mhm,
And unless you take that, it's not gonna happen, right?
yeah,
And that's what we have done.
mhm,
We have taken the action to do something, and I want to inspire everyone to do that, because
yeah,
maybe you don't have something specific in your community and you really do want to bring joy, like, because for us that brings us so much joy. And
yeah.
I really really recommend that everyone would learn to dance. It doesn't even have to be salsa, bachata, just any type of dance, so
Mhm.
that really you can feel your body, you know, like be in you, being the present. Oh, I can yap about it for hours.
No, I know. I love it.
So
No,
yeah.
that's so true. And it's like, it is. And that's where kind of with movement mantra, right? It's like, it's not just physical movement. It's not just, yeah, it's not just lifting weights or like doing
Yeah.
fitness stuff. It's movement for joy, which is, and dance in that. And it's movement in action and mindset and like growth oriented mindset. And so that's something that, it was easy to
Mm-hmm.
do with you, because it was like, yeah, like, and then we're just like going off at bouncing
Yeah.
ideas off of each other, and it kind of seamlessly like all came together. So with that, when somebody maybe feels a little bit, because you teach a lot of
Mm-hmm.
classes and everything as well, and work with a lot of new dancers, how do you kind of start to, somebody who's maybe curious about dance or curious about like movement or exploring movement in a different way maybe than they're used to? How do you kind of talk to somebody about that and kind of show them that,
Mm-hmm.
look one way and it can be all of these
Yeah.
different
Honestly, I think the biggest way that I approach that, it's giving yourself a chance, honestly.
things?
Because I will say it, your first day is not gonna be everything like amazing. It's not going to be. It's about taking the small steps for change at the end of the day,
Mhm.
because change doesn't happen in one day from the other. It takes time. So I always tell everybody, like, yes, come learn salsa or come learn bachata, whatever style that is that that I'm teaching at that moment, and give yourself space, first of all, to mess up, because it's not gonna be perfect.
Mhm.
There's a lot of like discipline when it comes to dancing, and the biggest thing about dancing Latin style, or any other style, it's about being consistent at something. Just be
Mhm.
consistent and consistent. And I know all my students say that I say that because I've said this to them like 100 times already. I always tell my guys, I didn't grow up dancing. I did not. Like I said from the beginning of the video, my thing was martial arts. I was ready to like knock some people down, not embrace them, hug them. Not get in touch with your feminine side, because okay, I don't want to get off too much of the topic, but I had like very high like masculine energy.
Mhm.
And I think in life we need balance. We need to have both our feminine and our masculine energy out.
Mhm.
And so I really do think that as a dance is a very feminine energy coming out.
Mhm.
And I recommend it for everybody, men and women, not just women in this case, right? Because again, I need that balance, so do men need that balance, right?
Yeah.
And uh, so at the end of the day, what I'm trying to get before I keep talking more about other stuff is that to give yourself a chance and to stick with it, and stick with it, and stick with it, stick with it.
Yeah.
Because I remember my very first, I would only dance this one style, and I didn't want to dance other styles. I only wanted to stay with this one style called bachata, because it was a lot easier than other ones. And anyone would ever like approach to me to dance salsa, I'm like, no, no, I don't know how to do it. Like I don't know how to do it. And I just kept denying myself that
Growth.
chance to mess up, or be good at something. Who knows? And
And now
then
look at you.
and now look at me, because now what I do is teach salsa, like
Yeah.
mainly. That's what I mainly do. And so 3 years into it afterwards, I was one time here in Chattanooga one summer, because every summer I would be back here, and all they dance here was salsa. And I was like, okay, that's it. Now I have to learn to dance salsa. That's it. That's just it. Took me. Went back home. Well, back home, which is Spain at that moment. Took 6 months of salsa, and those 6 months I hated every single moment of it. I did, and I honestly did. But at the same time, I will never forget that one moment that it clicked. And I was like, oh my god, like I get it now.
Mhm.
And then I even joined the performance team when I did that salsa performance. Oh my god, like that was so fun, so fun. And so I tell everybody now, like, hey, if you ever like salsa, like it's hard, but it's the most fun.
Yeah.
Bachata, I'm not saying it's easy, but it's one that's more like with touch with your feelings, like
Mhm.
more I would say, as yeah, more like touch with your feelings, while salsa is more fun. Like a lot of instruments come out. And
Yeah. It's a different vibe. I love both of them too, but definitely bachata was my first like intro into dance. Because
yes.
it's just like a little bit quicker of a pickup. Like it's a little bit
Mm-hmm.
easier to pick up on, at least as a new dancer.
Yes.
But salsa is really fun and it's a good challenge. And I think that what you talk about there with consistency, like that goes for everything, right? And like I talk about that with my clients like constantly,
Yeah.
is that, it's these little actions consistently over time and just like giving yourself the room and the ability to be bad at something essentially.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, 100%. Yes, exactly. Because we're
Yeah.
not meant to be perfect. We're not. We're meant to learn every single day.
Hmm.
So I know every time I dance, I want it to be the most perfect thing there is. But at the
Yep.
same time, I'm like, you know what? One day maybe I'll get there, or I'll never get there. And that's okay.
And
Because I'm
hopefully,
having fun. I'm meeting different people. I'm learning more about myself.
Mhm.
like learned that I was a perfectionist. I didn't know I was a perfectionist. Like, so yeah,
You didn't, but everybody else did probably.
100%. Yes.
Yeah, so
Yes.
and it's so amazing too. So, like, thinking about, how then dance and, like, other movements come together, because I know you've talked or we've talked about this before, and obviously, like, I do a lot of running and lifting as well, and then I definitely resonate with the finding the more feminine,
Mm-hmm.
energy within a dance, because I tend to be kind of hardcore.
Just a tad
And
bit. Just a
just
tad
a
bit.
little bit, in a lot of the other things that I'm doing, and so dance really helps me kind of bring out that feminine energy, but also in, like, a movement way.
Mm-hmm.
And so for you, I know that you also had, like, some injuries or some pains that were going on, and then you have kind of your own story with that, but how other types of movement helped you with that.
Yes, yes, because I was dancing so much, my lower back was hurting so much. I don't understand. I would tell my teachers, like, and they're like, well, one, you're probably doing the move incorrect. Two, your muscles are not strength enough. Like, they're not strong at all, strong enough.
Mhm.
And so I started going to a gym. I asked my friend, like, hey, what gym do you recommend me? They're like, oh, yeah, I go to this calisthenic place and they do different types of calisthenia. They do functional fitness. And it was like small groups. And I went there and just, I'm not even kidding, like in 2 weeks, I felt the difference.
Yeah.
When in Europe, you take a lot of transportation, you take the bus, the train, And I remember, I'll never forget that, like, my bus was coming and I had to run to it, and I felt so much lighter. I was like, whoa, I've never felt like this before. Like, that gym is working. And yeah, and my pain, the lower back pain that I had, gone.
Yeah. And I think that that's something that is really important for people to understand, that all movements have a purpose, and it's not that, you can't find joy in every single movement, but some
Mm-hmm.
movements might be more quote unquote fun or
Yeah.
bring more joy. And I think that, that's really important, but then it's also really important to do supporting movement styles that are going to help make sure that you can do those things that you love for longer, like strength training or, cardio, because dance, like, you have to have a super strong core and
You
back,
do.
right?
Yeah,
And
definitely,
legs
100%.
and feet.
And
Like,
cardio, because when I'm
mhm.
dancing salsa, that 5 minute song is going hoo, 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 like one thing after another. I'm like, okay, I need a break, like, and
Yeah.
you can tell, your body can tell, so
Exactly. And there's that cardio part. And then in bachata, there's a lot of body movements. And so, like, having the mobility. So, all of those things, the strength, the endurance, and the mobility,
mm-hmm.
you need to be able to have all of those components worked in, to really support a dance, well. And I think that it's really cool that, well, I'm really happy that your back pain went away,
I
obviously.
know, yay.
And it's so cool to hear that story, because I think that that's something that people kind of forget sometimes, and
Yeah.
myself included, right? Like, there's certain things I'm like, oh, I just feel like running. Like, I don't necessarily want to go to the gym, and I kind of go on a running spree, and then I'm like, oh, my knees are hurting a little bit more, or,
Mm-hmm.
something maybe a little bit more achy. It's like, okay, I need to make sure that I support that with strength. Or vice versa, I maybe am on a strength training kick, and I'm like, oh, I noticed that my cardio is not very good right now, so I can't dance that 5-minute salsa song. And
Mm-hmm.
so it's important to be able to support all of that.
Yeah,
Um,
because also now when I with the cardio, that I learn in for other things that I put into salsa, I realized that I can last longer,
mhm.
and that's great, And I was like not lasting long, and I'm like, oh,
Yeah.
okay, I need to go back to running a bit, so I can keep doing what I love more.
Exactly. It all works together. And that's kind of like, if anybody has seen my, like, triangle of health, then that's kind of like the physical part is like that cardio, the strength, and then the
Yes.
mobility. And those kind of base, support a lot of these other movement styles, especially kind of the movements that we do for joy and for fun. And those, dance has all of those in it. So it's perfect. But then also in that framework that I have on the outside, like mindset, mental health, community, and connection are the kind of outside circle that I have. And that's another really big component that we've talked about a lot with, dance and just in general, like our friendship,
Yeah.
but having connection and community. And then I recently I sent you a thing about the mental health and like how dance was the like basically the best antidote to depression, which
Yes.
mhm, which I don't think a lot of people know. But tell me kind of a little bit too about how you find the community and the connection through dance, and like how kind of how all of that has evolved for you as well.
Well, I think like ever since we started hosting the socials, we have met so
Mhm.
many people. And I think I've also learned about more about myself. It's like, okay, what do I connect more? And I realized like I connect more with other dancers.
Mhm.
So I've met some great dancers there, and we're just like, I don't know, we're in sync. Like, there's no difference between me and you. Like, there's not like we have the same values. We have, and that goes again about the values. And I know you talk a lot about that too.
Mhm.
It's very important as well. Like how we get along with community is also when you have the same values and you understand that.
Yeah.
And I always tell people like, if you want to, if you're new into town, come dance, come learn to dance, or come to a social dance, even if you don't know how to dance,
Yeah.
because trust me, you will meet one person that night. You will. You know,
Mhm.
I just went to Nashville about a month ago, and I also in dancing. So we have for those who don't know, we have like it's partner dancing, and we have a leader and we have a follower. And I do both. I can follow and I can lead. So I remember I was leading for one song. Was like, "Ah, I love that song. I need to lead that song," and I was leading this one lady, and after we finished that dance, she's like, "Oh my god, you are amazing. Okay, where are you from? Where are you coming from?" And I was like, "Oh, I'm from Chattanooga." She's like, "Okay, next time you come to Nashville, I have a room for you. Don't worry." Like, she doesn't even know me. She does
Mhm.
not know me at all.
Yeah.
But she knows, like, I love to dance and she loves to dance. We're
Yep.
going to have the same values and we're going to be respectful to each other.
Mhm. And that's so
So,
true. And like, I think that that's something that maybe a lot of people who haven't really traveled a lot outside out the US, like,
yes.
that seems completely normal to me.
Right? Right?
But for people who maybe haven't traveled or lived outside of the United States would think
Mm-hmm.
like, oh, staying in a stranger's house, like that's really strange. But when, like you said, when you have that, immediate connection with somebody, and you already are in a space where you know that you have those shared values and there's a sense of community, then it already is like there's already that baseline safety. And I think that's
Yes.
something that's really important, and I know we've talked about that a lot with Chattalatin, is that we want it to really be a place where people feel very safe to come and join us and find community for themselves and find
Yes.
connection. It's so important.
Mm-hmm. And like I said, you don't need to know how to dance. You don't
Yeah.
need to know, because even though you go to a social setting and you think like everybody knows how to dance, that's not true. Whereas that one person is probably their first day and they're trying their best, but because your eyes of as someone who's probably never danced before, they can't tell like, oh, okay, like that is also their first day. But you think since they are moving, they're like the best dancers ever, which they are. Everyone is a good dancer. There's no like, dance is so subjective.
Yeah.
So I really do encourage everyone. Like, I
Yeah.
think I can say that over and over. Like, please come learn to dance.
I learned to dance. Well, it's funny because like a month or so ago, when my mom came down from Chattanooga or from Knoxville to Chattanooga to come to the social, and she's never danced salsa or bachata before, but she had the biggest smile on her face the entire time. She had such a ball and absolutely
Yeah.
loved it. And it was so much fun to see that
Mm-hmm.
and be
But
that.
also, and that's another thing, your mom did not know any social dancing. She didn't know how to salsa bachata. But there was someone there that was not probably me, it was not you, who was trying to teach her
Yeah.
there. It's like, hey,
Yeah.
like, yeah, these are the steps. I'll help you out. Don't worry. So that's why I say, like, you don't have to know it in order to go to a social dance.
Hmm.
Someone there will help you 100% and
Yeah.
teach you how to do the basic step.
Exactly. No, it is so true. So if, of course we've been kind of talking all about dance and everything. But I have two questions for you. So kind of wrapping things up. One, I want to ask, what are your, like, if you have any resources for people, and it could be like dance related or not dance related at all. Like, what are some things that maybe you can suggest to people to find dance or growth or movement or whatever it is?
I think my biggest suggestion is honestly to have an open mind whenever
Mhm.
you do anything, you know? So I don't have a specific book, but there's so many of them, right?
Yeah.
Um, I one of my first books that I had kind of like read about like having an open mind was like the Four Agreements of Don Miguel Ruiz, which I think I've let you borrow that book. I
Yeah.
think I have, you know, and so that was book for me like oh, don't take things personally.
Mm.
What are other ones where there were like three other ones, you know, but I was shocked. I was like, oh yeah, I don't take things personally. Yes, I did. Yes, I did.
Yeah,
Yes,
we
I
all
do
do.
still. It's a journey in life, right?
Mhm.
So yeah.
Yeah, that's amazing. Awesome. And then of course, people can come dance with us if they're in Chattanooga, or if they're not in Chattanooga, they can always come down. But
Yes.
where can people find you? Where can people find us? How can they get involved with Chattalatin?
Yes, so we have Instagram and Facebook. On Instagram is chata.latin, and on Facebook it's just Chat Latin. The studio that we do give classes at, it's at Studio 34 on Brainerd Road.
Mhm.
So I'm sure you can find it over there, everything else too. So
Yeah, I think
yeah.
they have our flyer up,
Yes,
and
they do. Yes.
yeah,
And take classes because it's a dance school. So take classes, even if it's not salsa and bachata.
yeah, yeah, no, it's a great space. And like you and I did a class earlier or last week, and then I know there were a couple classes that you've been to this week. So
Yes. Yeah.
that's always a great opportunity just to go meet new people, try new things.
Exactly,
Um,
because it's a
yeah,
journey and so you're always learning something. You know, I just because I'm teaching now doesn't mean that I know everything about salsa or bachata, right? I don't still, and I have to keep on improving by taking more classes, by having an open mind and meeting more people like you.
yeah, 100%. And I think that that's one of the biggest takeaways just in general is like, I think a lot of times people see, a person who's been dancing a long time, like yourself, or, maybe they see me and the strength training or the running that I do. And it's kind of like, oh my gosh, I could never do that. But like you said, it's like that growth oriented mindset is one of the biggest overarching things that we can kind of be present in and be okay and give ourselves grace with like quote unquote failure, because it's really not failure, it's more so just
Mm-hmm.
learning, right? And so when we can shift that mindset, I think that it kind of puts a whole new perspective on everything that we do, and it kind of takes the pressure off. It doesn't have to be,
Yes.
we don't have to be perfect, even
No,
if
we don't. We keep on saying that to ourselves, okay?
right, we need
We'll
to
say that
say,
to
we
each
need to
other.
remind ourselves, yeah. Exactly. Exactly. Well, I'm so glad that we got to talk and share a little bit today. And I'm so excited that you got to share your story a little bit more too about how you kind of came into dance and everything. And I'm sure there'll be so many more conversations to come, because dance and movement overall is just so important to both of us. So we will definitely keep the conversation going. But in the meantime, everybody out there, thanks for watching. And if you're curious to find out more from other movement professionals, then join the Movement Mantra Mastermind group on Facebook, where all of these videos will be posted. And this is where I'm going to be engaging with anybody. So if you comment, if you have a question for Sonia or for myself, or any of the previous experts that I've brought on inside the mastermind, then go ahead, just drop a comment, and we would love to engage with you and answer anything that you have for us. So in the meantime, I hope that everybody has a wonderful rest of their day.
Yeah.
And
Thank
we will,
you.
yeah, thank you guys. Bye-bye.
Bye.